Hi there, it's Donna from Taffy Crafting, and today I'm taking part in a YouTube hop with the crafters from Stamp Around UK. So you may have come across me maybe because you're a subscriber, or it could be that you've come across me from the list that's in one of the other crafters' description bar in the YouTube hop. So if that's the case, welcome. This is Taffy Crafting, and what I like to do is make easy to follow tutorials for any standard of crafter. So if that's the type of thing that you like, then hit the subscribe button and ring the bell to be notified of all of my video tutorials. I try and do about 2, sometimes 3 a week. So in the YouTube hop that we're doing with Stamp Around UK, we are embossing. Now, there are lots of different types of embossing that you can do, and I've chosen to do heat embossing with the emboss resist technique. So I'm going to show you how I do that. So you need a card base. So I'm using Whisper White cardstock, and that measures 8 1/4 by 5 7/8. And I'm just going to score that down the middle at 4 1/8. Let's do that first. And then I've got a piece of, doesn't really matter what colour card that you use, because we are kind of mixing these colours together, just choose whatever colour you like. And I've got a piece of Calypso Coral here. For this one, I use Flirty Flamingo. This one I'm going to use Calypso Coral. So this will be 5 3/4 inches by 4 inches. All of the measurements will be on my blog, and I'll leave a link to that after the list of all of the other crafters taking place in this video hop. So if you look after those names, then you'll see my blog post. But please go and see those first before you head over to that blog post. Go and see the other crafters' YouTube videos. So that's going to fit on there just so that it has a very narrow border all the way around. I won't stick that yet, but I want another piece of Whisper White. And this is going to measure 3 7/8 by 5 5/8. Let's check I've got a big enough piece there. Yeah, let's do that first. So 3 5/8 by 3 7/8. And it's this that I'm going to use for my emboss resist technique. So the first thing I'm going to do is get my Embossing Buddy. Whoops. And you can't miss this step out. It's important that you do this. And I've put my Embossing Buddy down. I had everything ready to craft, and it would appear that I've put that down. And it was lurking behind some inks. So this is an Embossing Buddy, and I don't really know what's in here. Some magic potion that if you just rub it all over your card, it takes off all of the static and the grease away from the card. And we need to do that so that our embossing powder doesn't stick to anything other than the Versamark that we put on top of that. So that's done that. You have to do that. Sometimes when I've forgotten to rub the Embossing Buddy all over the cards, I think, oh, I'll be fine. And then I go and do some emboss resist or some heat embossing, and of course it goes wrong because the embossing powder has stuck to the grease or the static on the card. Right, so I'm going to be using the Gorgeous Poses stamp set, and I'm going to use this, but I'm also going to be using this as well, and then I'm going to be using this as my sentiment for a very kind and thoughtful friend, and then you can use that for any occasion then. So there's the big flower, and I've got some Versamark. So I'm going to stamp. You'll see that this will stamp clear, But if you shine the light on it at the right angle, you'll be able to see where you've been. So I want one right in the middle. And then I'm going to position the rest of them around it. Now I've decided to use quite a big stamp for this one. Oh, it's really difficult to see it sometimes. Yeah, I'm using a big stamp for this one, but you could use whatever you like. I had a go at this before and I used the Zany Zebra stamp. Let me show you. So I did that and I wasn't 100% happy with it, mainly because I just didn't think the stamp suited the card. Also, I think the ink behind it is too light. So I ditched that. You have to play about with it to see what fits. I'm trying not to put my fingers on this, but at the same time trying to see where I've stamped. So you just have to shine it to the light a little bit. So I'm only going to be able to get one of these flowers whole, if you know what I mean. But I'm trying to get, as well as trying to see where I've stamped it, I'm trying to see if you can see that. You might be able to see that. Try and get, if you can, I know it's difficult to see what's going on, but try and get your flowers or whatever image you're using equal distance apart. I think I can just fit one more in up there. So I don't know if you can see that. I'm quite happy with that. All will be revealed. Now the next thing that I do is I need a sheet of paper to go underneath that. And just try not to put your fingers on the card because our fingers are naturally oily and it's just going to transfer that onto them. We don't want to do that. So get your, this is clear embossing powder. And I'm just going to sprinkle that all over the card, over where I've stamped. Now I know it's difficult to see. What you can do is when you have sprinkled it all over, you'll be able to see where the powder has clung. And as you shake that off, it will cling to any flowers that haven't quite got all of the powder on it. So just tap that off. Don't touch it, because if you rub over it, you'll just rub it away. So I don't know if you can see that. And then what we need to do is get rid of this, putting it back into the tub. It takes ages to get through this. You really only use, even using big flowers that I've got there, you really only use a little bit of this at a time. So the next thing we've got to do is heat that up. And I've got a heat tool here. And I'm going to heat it. Makes a noise. But what you'll see with the clear one is that it goes from, you can see it, and then it kind of disappears. It takes a while for it to get hot enough. There it goes. I think you might be able to see that on screen. So it's just melting that powder. And once the gun's got hot enough, the whole process doesn't take too long. Whoop. And watch your fingers, this does get hot. So there we go. You might just, yeah, just as that catches the light, you can see that where that embossing powder has melted. So now I'm just going to get the rest of the embossing powder off of that. Now we're ready to add some colour to this. Now the colours that I used are colours that I wouldn't normally put together. I've got Gorgeous Grape, Mango Melody, Bermuda Bay and Melon Mambo. So 4 very bright, vibrant colours. And I'm going to use one of these. It's not Stampin' Up, but you can buy these really cheaply online, or you can use a Stampin' Up sponge dauber, or you can use a sponge brayer, which we also have in Stampin' Up. But I prefer this just because I like the handle on it, but you could easily use a sponge. That's just my weapon of choice. So take a colour. I like to start, I don't know why, I like to start with the lightest colour, and I like to, what I've decided to do here, this wasn't quite 100% how I thought it was going to come out. I want these to blend a bit better, but I'm just going to start here with this, with the Mango Melody. So with whatever you're using, whether it's one of these, this is just like a makeup blender brush, whether it's one of these or a sponge or the sponge dauber, load up your ink first. Now you're not going to go straight in because there's just too much ink here. You just need to take some of that off. And I'm just going to, that's dried off now, I'm just going to go in gently. I don't want a whole ton of colour just going in. And you'll see that where we have put the flowers in, it just resists the colour. So you get all of the colour going on the card that you haven't embossed. So I'm just going to do a small section there. Like that. And then we'll find another colour. I might want to go a bit bigger than that actually. No, I'm not sure. No, we'll just stick with that. Now this takes some time. This is not something that you can rush. So I'm just going to take off the excess there because it does get quite dark. And I think I'm going to come in here. So gently, gently building up the colour. That's gone too dark for my liking. But you can see again where that resists on the flowers. So I'm going to keep that quite dark because it is what it is now. And just try and blend it where the two colours meet. Actually, that's not blended too bad. Better than my first one. I just love that effect on the flower. And the great thing about this is that every card will be different because of the different layers of colours that you've got. And I'm just going to move between the colours. So now we've got Bermuda Bay. I'm just going to keep this corner free for a moment, and I want to put Bermuda Bay here. So load up your ink, and I just want to take the excess off. And I'm going to bring the Bermuda Bay in here. I love Bermuda Bay. It's such a beautiful kind of bluey green colour. And where the colours meet, just really blend them together as best you can. We're going to be doing something else with where the colours meet in a second. It's gone quite dark actually, that one. The last one was light and this one's quite dark. I don't know why. No idea. we've got Mellow Mambo. So load up my brush, tap off the excess, just tap it. That's all I'm doing there, is just tapping it on the side of, just on my paper. And I'm going to bring that up into this top corner here, blending into the Bermuda Bay. And I think with this one, these flowers stayed quite white. I don't know why. And then I'm just going to let that blend into the Bermuda Bay. It's quite a therapeutic thing to do this. Very therapeutic. And then I think what I'm going to put here is some more of that Mango Melody. Let's get that colour off of that. Mellow Mambo really clings to the brush. Let's get my Mango Melody back out, and I'm going to put that in this top corner. Tap off the excess, and then when I'm at the corner, I just kind of just bring that in, so then I don't get anything that's too inky. I just love the way that that reacts with the where I've used that clear embossing powder. And then here I think I'll come back down with Bermuda Bay. Only want a little bit. Just going to bring that into the bottom corner, and I would say just don't rush, just take your time over this. And I love here how we've got some two-tone flowers. Just think that's so pretty. And you can use as many colours as you like. Just want to let that blend a bit more there. Right, we'll leave that there, otherwise I'll end up ruining it. Right, so the next thing I need is the little speckles that we have on this stamp set, because what I want to do is kind of try and break up these borders. So as I've got Bermuda Bay out, let's put my Speckles stamp on here, and with the Bermuda Bay, so I've loaded up the ink. Now what I realised with this one, don't go in on the first, second or third stamp. I've just stamped that off there 3 or 4 times, and then I'm just coming in on the border, just with some speckles, and stamp very, very lightly. And what that will do is attempt to just break up those harsh lines. As well, and along here like that. And then I found what I realised earlier, just get your brush and brush that off. Oh, actually I've done that, I forgot about down here. Now I want to take those off there, so I just get my brush and I'm just wiping those off. I don't want the speckles on the flowers. I'm just taking those off there, like that. And we'll do the same with Mellow Mambo. And I thought I'd be able to get this video done within 20 minutes. I haven't, again. So I'm just going to put those on there. And take those dots off my flower. Indigo Melody just along that border there. Actually, I think the more times you stamp off, the better, I think, in my opinion. I think it just breaks it up a bit and just adds a bit more texture, a bit more interest. Let's just get some dots in there as well. And then we just want the gorgeous grape. And then we are done. All I need to do then is put a sentiment on there. Oops. Just stamping lightly on there. Like that. And just rub them off my flowers. Right. So that's that bit done. So the next thing I want to do is put a sentiment on there. Now I need a piece of Whisper White cardstock that measures 1 inch by 3.5 inches. So I've got that there and I want to put a sentiment on it. So I've got the sentiments from the Gorgeous Poses stamp set. And I'm just going to stamp that just in any of the colours that I've used. So I think I'll use the Gorgeous Grape just because it's gorgeous. Line that up in the middle. I've got the light shining on it so I can't see. So I'm going to be keeping my fingers crossed that this stamps properly first time. Yes. Huge sigh of relief there. And while that is drying, because I don't want to risk ruining that, I'm going to put my stamped piece that I've heat embossed and then put that on there like that. That is the wrong size. There it is. I thought that's a bit big. So we're just going to put that on there. So let's get my glue. So just using liquid glue for this. Now when you heat up card, it does warp a little bit. So you need to be careful when you put this on the card. You might want to flatten it a bit more. So I'm going to put that on there like that. Now what I would normally do now is just put this between perhaps 2 thick books. And I'm doing that because that emboss, where I've done the emboss resist, it is a bit, it's not sticky, but if I rub my hands over it, any ink that's on my hands would then just transfer onto those flowers, and I don't want to ruin those. And then I'm just going to put that onto my card. So that wet glue enables me to just make sure that I've got everything right. I'm just going to use that card just because my hands have got ink on them. And finally, I just want to put that sentiment on. Now I've used the label Pick a Punch. So on my blog, it will have all of the details of all of the products that I've used. So I'm just going to slide that in there like that. Now with this, you do have to just check that it's lined up. That could be lined up a little bit better, so I'm just going to push that. That's better. And then turn it round and do the same on that side. Just check that it's just put it in crooked. There we are, like that. And then I've got some mini stamping dimensionals. And I'm just going to put that there towards the bottom. And there you go. I hope you like that project. It's something that can be very colourful. You can use any stamp that you like, absolutely anything, and it's really good to experiment, like I did there. And I might end up just doing something with that, even if it's, I don't know, but there we are. So I hope you like it, and just go on to the list that's in the description bar of this video and move on to the next person in the hop. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.